so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind. So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing.
I'm clicking the go live button. Should be all set.
Right. Well, okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Tonight, we've got Alex, Dan, Dave, and myself. Thank you for joining us this evening. And we'll jump right into it. I got quite a few articles. I don't know if we'll make it through all of them, but some of them are kind of fun. Some of them are interesting, some new technology. And then we're going to take a step off the path here. And I'm going to introduce I'm not going to play the whole video, but I am going to show it of Rob Robertson, our own Rob Robertson. And he did a video on Texas House Bill 41. Right. Yeah. So, but to get us started, let me get going here. All right. In case any of you didn't know, the DJI Phantom is no more. So I'm going to preface this by, thank God, maybe we can stop using the DJI Phantom as the go-to image for all drones worldwide.
It'll never happen.
But the Phantom always works.
So
mine has lasted for a long time.
I have one that I think somebody gifted to me, and I can't get it flies, but I can't get the camera to work. So, all right. So, in 2019, DJI insisted to me that it wasn't killing off the Phantom, its iconic line of oft-imitated drones that turned the Chinese company into the powerhouse it is today. Yet, DJI has just announced the end of life for its final two Phantom drones, the Phantom 4 Pro and the Phantom 4 Advanced, with no new Phantom models in sight. Number one, do we really need another Phantom? Like, we have Mavics, we have Avatas, we have Minis, like much better technology, smaller form factors, foldable, all those things. But according to the support page, DJI actually produced its last Phantom in May 2018. All right, so that's 7 years ago. Can we kill off the image of the Phantom, please? While DJI wasn't the first maker of off-the-shelf flying quadcopters, the first Phantom arrived in 2013, whereas Parrot's AR drone was already on the shelves in 2010. The Phantom was among the first ready-to-fly ones, widely adopted by both consumers and video production pros. Other companies produced loads of Phantom clones and knockoff toys, and the unique pillow and leg silhouette of a Phantom soon became an instantly recognizable symbol for drone. I saw it on signs banning drones from public parks, for example, or every news article ever invented.
So now if those
But DJI,
signs say no drones with that picture, it's like, well, that doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't apply, right?
right? It doesn't apply. My drone doesn't look like that. But DJI doesn't seem to need the Phantom brand anymore. Now, most of its drones are rectangular packages with fold down legs for portability, and it has many other brands that carry that torch, from the highest end Inspire down through the Mavic, Air, Mini, and the new entry level Flip line. DJI seems to agree that those are the reasons the Phantom is no more. So the Phantom has died. But I will say the Phantom was the reason DJI is who it is today. And the wide adoption of that platform, I think, led to a lot of the things that DJI does now. And hopefully we continue to see, more innovation. But obviously a lot of that is in danger now due to tariffs and bannings and restricting the use of DJI for public safety, for government uses, all those kinds of things. So
Well, just for us in the United States, things should go swimmingly outside of the United States. More innovation, significant utilization of DJI in public safety, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, absolutely. So and on that note,
So before you
Ag
get into
spray-
the next article, could you try making your window narrower, about half as wide?
Yes, I apologize. Yep.
There we go. Now it zooms in and
Sorry about
shows it
that.
a little bit better.
Yep. Sorry. My ultra wide screens are damaging to everybody. All right. So next news article. Ag spray drones from Chinese firm DJI. Around 400,000 DJI Ag spray drones were estimated to be in use globally at the end of 2024, up 33% versus 2023 and up 90% versus 2020.
That sounds like a lot of egg spraying drones. Wow.
Absolutely. And I find these ag sprayer drones amazing. I watch videos of the people who run these and the ease of use. And they're rolling up with a trailer, a generator, chemicals, or fertilizers, and being able to just fill the container and set a path, and it just follows the path. When its battery or its chemicals run out, it flies back. You fill it or change a battery. They plug the battery back into the charger, and then it goes right back where it stopped and continues spraying. And it's just phenomenal technology.
And the safety factor, ag spraying, manned aircraft, absolutely one of the most dangerous types of flight. Your incredible level of skill and experience required, and the drones are more efficient. And so if you draw a line of the circle of the pattern, it's much tighter at the end, and there's much less overspray, and there's much less spray into fields that you don't want to be sprayed. So, all around a great solution.
And Bits Bytes is saying in the YouTube comment that is higher than the number of general aviation or GA aircraft globally. I don't know what those numbers are, but that's a lot of drones. I was even just comparing it to like how many Part 107 pilots in the United States we have, and like that's a big chunk of them.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of the 107, and there are in the United States AOPA license, or they cite numbers of 600,000 private aircraft in the United States. That's it is different from the White House spokesperson who said that the seizing of fentanyl saved 119 million lives in the first quarter. So it's a little different from that.
22 million pills or something like that saved 100 and some million. A lot of pill sharing going on, and
right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the finding, that's okay. So it's tangent. All right. The findings presented at the Ag Trade Show AgriShow 2025 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, reveal a maturing global industry, claims DJI, which says more countries are now transitioning from limited testing to formal application, while others are expanding from single crop applications to broader applications across various crops. And this is largely thanks to smarter rules by local aviation authorities, says DJI, which says its drones now spray 300 crops in 100 countries. For example, Argentina reduced restrictions for drone deployment in agricultural areas, while Spain simplified the approval processes for utilizing agricultural drones. At the same time, some countries like Brazil have further standardized the process for pilot training, thereby making it easier for people to operate spray drones legally. So that's awesome. I mean, being able to do this, and number one, take care of crops that feed people. Number two, do it safely and efficiently. It's just awesome. So
There's also an interesting turn of events. We had the privilege of working with the AAAA, which is the Association of Ag Sprayers, Manned Aircraft, in a couple of the drone taskings with the FAA. And these guys were all for, you think, oh, this is going to take away their livelihood. They'd be very much opposed to drone ag spraying. Just the opposite. They saw it as a fantastic way to save lives of their own pilots and do things more efficiently and more cost effectively. So they jumped on. So an amazing group of people and very forward thinking.
absolutely. All right. So I'm going to skip to a cloud over the U.S. market. This is some interesting information. So a DJI spokesperson told Ag Funder News, outside of China, we are seeing the most significant growth in agricultural drone usage in the America, North America, Central America, and South America, and Southeast Asia. Our focus is on region with the highest potential growth, specifically the Americas and Southeast Asia. Asked whether the Trump administration's 145% import tax on goods coming from the U.S. from China had effectively stymied DJI's progress in the U.S. market, the spokesperson added, "We are continually monitoring and assessing market conditions as they evolve and will adapt our approach accordingly. We aim to keep our pricing as reasonable as possible." So, I mean, that's a good outlook from DJI. Hopefully that holds. But I think in order to do that, they're going to have to take a major margin hit on the products that they're processing. So, that they're producing.
Or they simply pass along all of the tariff along to end customers. And in this sort of industry situation, the equipment is not the biggest expense in this instance. So they've come down from not using manned aircraft to unmanned, and you have lesser skilled people, so the total cost is lower, and the equipment cost is a smaller percentage of the total. So even with a usurious tariff, you're still it's still ahead of the game to continue spraying with drones.
Absolutely. And I think last time I checked, which was, I don't know, several months ago, 6 months ago or something, I think the cost of a DJI Agris T50 was in the 20 to 25,000 range. And obviously, that's could be baseline model. There's additions that you can do. There's dry tanks, there's wet tanks, there's obviously batteries. You want to be able to get through an entire field, you're going to need several rounds of batteries and chargers and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, for attempts by some U.S. lawmakers to restrict U.S. activities of Chinese drone makers amid national security concerns, which DJI says are misplaced, the spokesperson added, "We remain committed to the U.S. market and continue to focus on meeting the growing demand for DJI agricultural drones and related products at the best possible price." In public comments to the U.S. Department of Commerce, the American Spray Drone Coalition issued a stark warning should Chinese drone makers be added to the FCC's covered list of communications equipment and services deemed to pose an unacceptable risk to U.S. national security. If actions being contemplated by the Department of Commerce have immediate effect on all drones originating from China, the components from China, or from companies domiciled in China, 90% of the spray drone industry supply to the U.S. market would be eliminated. So there are some made in America alternatives. So U.S. ag drone makers, meanwhile, have been building their capabilities in recent years, with Massachusetts-based Guardian Agriculture developing larger, more robust drones with a large payload capacity and coverage per hour designed for large U.S. farms. The firm, which has a partnership with ag retailer Wilbur Ellis, says the tech will be made available to customers in Salina, Yuma, and Coachella this year. Texas-based drone maker Hylio, meanwhile, raised $2.6 million on equity crowdfunding platform Start Engine to expand production at a new facility capable of producing 5,000 drones a year at full capacity. That's not a lot. That feels like a very small amount. Both farms are positioning.
Small percentage of 400,000.
Yep. Yeah. Both firms are positioning themselves as a made in America option for U.S. farmers in an evolving trade environment. So it'll be interesting to see where this plays. But if you haven't watched, there's a lot of YouTube videos on these ag sprayers. I mean, I would check it out. And the cool thing about it is, like, everything's customizable on these. Like the amount you spray, it takes into account the propeller wash to help distribute the spray. Like all these different things that these drones do. It's fascinating, and like you can easily go down a rabbit hole on that. So, all right, next. So this is coming from Drone XL. However, this little head that you see right here, with his doing the face palm, that's Rob Robertson. So he has a YouTube channel, and he calls it Drone 50, and he has a 10-minute video on drone, the Texas House Committee ban. And kind of, I just would invite you all to take a watch. It's a good video. He does a great job with it, but it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you live in Texas. And obviously, this is a proposed ban that is aiming to protect Texas from foreign technology. But in reality, it's removing critical tools from first responders that they rely on daily. Earlier this month, public safety professionals from Texas and beyond testified against the bill at the Homeland Security Committee hearing in Austin. The room was packed with firefighters, law enforcement, and search and rescue professionals. Notably, not a single public safety pilot who flies drones in real emergencies supported HB 41. The bill's backers, two private entities, AUVSI and State Armor. Nothing says public safety like ignoring the public safety community and taking orders from private groups with no experience in crisis response or public safety missions. So, obviously, Rob's not here to really talk about this, but realistically, this is, I mean, we've always been against a ban on DJI, mostly because there's not an effective or cost effective or capability effective replacement for these. There's just nothing that's being made currently in the United States that really would be a proper use of taxpayers' money to really replace these. So, and until we have that, it feels like the cart before the horse kind of scenario. Am I wrong, Dave?
No, I'm with you 100%, as you know. And I mean, I think back to my IBM days, and if we had a big customer, and we said, okay, we're gonna kill this line of product, and we're gonna leave you high and dry, they would say, okay, we'll never work with you again, and they would go elsewhere. In this situation, customers can't. So the replacement products are not there yet. They're not as sophisticated as DJI. They're not as robust, reliable, and they're more expensive. So it's a real, and they're more expensive by a lot. It's not 5 or 10%. It's frequently 100% different,
if not more.
Yeah. So a big frustration for public safety, and a huge shout out for Rob. Rob is becoming nationally well known and has been working with LIDA, with the FAA, organizations around the country in support of public safety. We're very proud to have him as part of FPVFC, and the work he did to testify with the Texas House was great. And so the status of HB 41 is that it did pass committee, as this article says, and it's still has not been scheduled to make it on the floor. And I believe Rob told us that the schedule of the session ends this month, so today, tomorrow. And in Texas, unlike New York, they don't have their legislation is not in session year round. It's a couple months out of the year. So, and they pride themselves on not passing a myriad of bills. So, this may go to the next, is highly probable it'll go to the next session. Hopefully that will give us time to oppose it and to hopefully demonstrate to those in the legislature that this is not a good thing.
Absolutely. All right. I thought this was pretty cool. So, and this picture seems a little out of context. However, it's not far from the truth. So, Japanese scientists just summoned lightning with a drone. So, when a bolt of lightning cracked through the sky over Japan last December, it didn't come by chance. It came because a drone asked for it. On a stormy day, engineers at Japan's Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation launched a small aircraft into the darkening clouds. Tethered to the ground by a long metal wire, the drone hovered silently at 300 meters, and then, in a blink, it summoned the heavens. The strike was immediate, electric blue, and powerful enough to melt part of the drone's protective cage, but the drone kept flying. The experiment, which was only recently revealed to the public, marks a new chapter in humanity's relationship with one of nature's most dangerous and least controllable forces. So here's a picture of the drone. This cage around it is used to divert the electrical impulse from the lightning bolt to the wire that's tethering it to the ground, bypassing all the electronics. So each year, lightning costs billions in property damage across the globe and injuries to thousands of people. In Japan alone, annual lightning-related losses reach up to 1.4 billion. Lightning may not strike the same place twice, but it tends to hit the same areas and doesn't discriminate between rural landscapes and high-tech infrastructure.
It definitely hits the same place twice all the time.
Yes, it does. Seen it. All right. Traditional lightning rods offer important protection, but they're fixed, limited in range, and impractical for locations like wind farms or outdoor stadiums. So NTT took to the skies with a bold idea: build a flying lightning rod that can go closer to the storms. At the heart of their system is a multi-copter drone rigged with a custom-built Faraday cage. The drone was also armed with protruding spiky antennas to invite a strike. It's connected to the ground by a 300-meter conductive wire, which plays the role of safe conductor. The system uses ground-based sensors to detect when conditions are ripe, electric field fluctuations, usually the harbinger of lightning. When the moment is right, the drone launches, ascends into the cloud, and when the voltage reaches a critical level, a switch connects the tether to a low-resistance grounding system. The path to Earth becomes irresistible for the charged particles. So this is pretty cool. However, it gets a little strange. So while the notion of summoning lightning may sound like something from mythology, the implications are decidedly practical. By guiding lightning, these drones could offer real-time protection to vulnerable sites, from power plants and airports to concert venues and offshore platforms. NTT sees a future where networks of these drones act as mobile lightning shields, dispatched to areas at risk, ready to intercept strikes before they hit critical structures. And yet the engineers are dreaming much bigger. We will also work on research and development into the methods for storing lightning energy, reads the company's press release, with the aim of storing and utilizing the energy of induced lightning. The ambition is bold. One lightning strike carries about 1 billion joules of energy, enough to charge an electric car multiple times. Multiply that by the 1.4 billion strikes that occur worldwide each year, and you get a staggering 383.6 terawatt hours. That's about 1.5 of global electricity consumption.
1.5% of energy consumption.
Electricity, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Alex,
My-
how much power do you think they have to stuff into this Faraday cage to get it to create a safe three-dimensional envelope so that the printed circuit boards can continue to exist? I mean, that's genius.
Well, as long as the lightning
Mhm.
goes
Well,
around it
So,
and
like,
down the wire, I think it's okay.
the thing
But-
that I'm curious about is what's the cost of this system versus just putting up a bunch of lightning rods, you know? Because lightning rods do work. And do we really have to over-engineer? Sometimes the simplest method is the best method. Is this over-engineered or is it reasonable?
Is it
That's where I'm looking at.
Is it a solution in search of a problem?
Well, I think it is the last couple of sentences where they're trying to nudge lightning strikes, and so they're
Mhm.
trying to create them, not just
Capture them.
operate on an opportunistic basis.
Yeah. So, and
You'd have
it's
a
curious.
lightning rod too.
I mean, if you think about it, we've had lightning rods for how long? Why haven't we started capturing the energy from those, right? Is it too intermittent? Is it, I mean, obviously you
It's
can
got to
direct
be
from
difficult
go
to
away.
store.
Well, the problem
that
is because
really
of
quickly.
capacitance.
Mhm.
It's because of capacitance in circuits. It's a time limit. It's a time delay that's automatic. You can't charge stuff that quickly. You have a
Right.
limit to how fast you can change current.
There you go. See? There
It's
you
just
go.
physical limitations.
So
You
that's why
just
like,
need like
if
billions of really fast capacitors all on the same wire
Yeah.
that suck up the electricity
If you
really
could make-
fast.
If you could make a faster capacitor, then sure. If you can get the
Mhm.
time constant really low, then sure, it would work. But time
Really,
constants are only 63% of it, so you'd have to have a giant capacitor and a really low time constant.
So cool, yes. Practical, yeah. You decide, I guess. All right. This is another kind of head scratcher for me, but it's kind of cool. So, this is a flying squirrel inspired drone with foldable wings. Demonstrates high maneuverability. So, as we all know, if you fly a drone, it's probably one of the most maneuverable things in the air. I think maybe only coupled by a RC helicopter, maybe, but this is pretty unique. So they are using this comes from South Korea. Researchers at Pohang University Science and Technology and the Agency for Defense Development, also nicknamed ADD. Hey, there you go.
some things just don't translate.
In South Korea, recently developed a drone with foldable wings that could be more maneuverable than conventional drones. The drone draws inspiration from the winged flying squirrel, a type of squirrel that uses loose flaps of skin attached from the wrists and ankles to glide from tree to tree. The flying squirrel drone is inspired by the movements of flying squirrels, particularly their ability to rapidly decelerate by spreading their wings just before landing on trees. We initiated this research with the belief that, like flying squirrels, drones could expand their dynamic capabilities by utilizing aerodynamic drag. Published on the ARXIV preprint server, the most recent paper by Lee, Kang, and Han builds on an earlier paper in which they first presented their squirrel-inspired robot. Their previous paper outlined their robot's basic underlying hardware with a reinforcement learning technique that allows it to rapidly decelerate while performing maneuvers in flight. So essentially what it's doing, and I'll play the video, it's a short video sound here. So let me see if I can blow this up. Is this gonna, yeah, there we go. So it's using it to stop very quickly. And as we all know, drones can basically reverse directions fairly fast. However, it's using it to supplement that. And it's got a cute little face and everything. But basically, it uses servo motors to expand a silicone, like a thin silicone sheet, to create aerodynamic drag. And basically, it's saying it is able to stop very fast, as you can see from the videos here.
So this
So-
reminds me a little bit of, gosh, 5 or 6 years ago, there was a drone, an FPV drone, where it had like
Mhm.
plastic wings between the arms that would try to help it float better while you're doing FPV freestyle. But
Right.
obviously, it's always there, so it's always creating that drag. But if you could, this is like an evolution of that, where you've now get rid of them when you want to accelerate, and then open them when you want to float.
Mhm.
It could open the door for some cool FPV freestyle tricks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just thought it was pretty interesting. I'm not going to like dive into all this. If you want to check it out, definitely look it up. It's definitely making the news cycle right now. But Alex, what do you think about this?
I think they've only done it indoors so far because you can see the motion capture balls. But then also, I'm curious how fast drag can really decelerate an aircraft versus just reverse thrust or
That's my
flipping the aircraft and punching it, because we know that a racing drone can accelerate about 6, 7, 10 Gs. Can drag do a 10G deceleration?
Right.
Probably not.
Just seems like
That's what
to
I'm
me,
thinking off the top of my head. I don't think that drag can do 10 Gs of deceleration.
seems like to me it's better at making it float, not like stop, but like float slower, fall slower.
Yeah, and when they
Be
were
more energy efficient because you're using that drag to stay in the air longer, not to use it to stop quickly. And that's what I
Agreed.
think
When
of flying squirrels too. I think of them as opening their arms so that they can glide farther, not to
right
stop
when I
before they hit a tree.
exactly
So
Dan.
one of the
When-
things that they mention here is that in situations where the robot is required to suddenly stop or rapidly change direction to prevent collision with obstacles, the deployment of wings can produce a sizable force in the direction opposite to the object that the drone is trying to avoid. So, I mean, does it make sense in those situations? I don't know, maybe. I mean, is it a little more controlled than kind of tilting the drone back and hitting the, hitting the throttle? I
How
mean,
fast
I
does
don't
it
know.
take to fold those things out?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I was with Dan when, in fact, the title of this, look, squirrel suit. I was thinking of the crazy people who jump off cliffs
Oh, the
and
wingsuit.
buildings, and
wingsuits, yeah.
wings and wear wingsuits. What is that? How does that help a drone? Well, of course, if it can float and fly a bit, it really extends the life of the flight. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, from stopping or changing direction. Well, it's great that young folks are in a university thinking this stuff up. Bless their
Right,
hearts.
right.
Still probably
Right.
takes less energy than reversing the motors does.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving along. So, Amazon exploring prime air drone package delivery in the Kansas City market. So, this is not a for sure thing, but if you live in Kansas City, Missouri, this is a possible thing coming your way. So, global e-commerce giant Amazon says it's reviewing the possibility of adding drone delivery to the Kansas City market. Earlier this month, the Kansas City, Missouri Planning Commission met and approved a request by Amazon for a special use permit to develop Amazon drone delivery at its existing warehouse near the interchange of Interstate 49 and Missouri Highway 150 near the former Richards Gebauer Airport. Sure. We're reviewing options and working with local officials to possibly bring Prime Air to Kansas City, which would support our efforts to provide fast delivery and great service to local customers. The drones, designated a Mark 30, would be based at Prime Air Drone Delivery Center, a 9,000 square foot space that would include drone launch pads, battery charging stations, excuse me, and an operations center to keep track of drone deliveries. According to documents filed with the city, the drone would take off from a launch pad at the facility and then flight along a predetermined flight until it arrived at the customer's location. The drone would then descend to about 12 feet, scan for any obstacles, people, or pets would be, would be put on the way, um, before dropping the package off or returning to base. Amazon says the package would be delivered in a special box with extra cushioning to protect the ordered items. Amazon says its drones have a range of 7.5 miles and can carry a package weighing up to 5 pounds. So they have not included in this. They say they have started deliveries in Tolleson here in Arizona, which is my neighborhood. Uh, I have not seen these guys. Hopefully, we'll see that soon. But if you're in Kansas City, possibilities be about 400 delivery zone. So 15 mile. Let me do my
Yeah,
math correctly.
yeah, we wish Amazon luck with this. That's in contrast, Google Wing with their delivery in the now probably well in excess of 600,000 or 700,000 deliveries. They make a big deal out of working with the community and letting the community, the level of outreach that Google Wing does is massive. And
Mhm.
they let folks know what's going on. They get folks involved, and they get to the local municipalities. And so I hope that, and Google shared this, their process with all other drone delivery organizations. So I'm hoping that Amazon has picked them up on this. You recall that when they were in, it was in Texas. It was at
Mhm.
College Station,
Yeah.
and then they left, and it was they got a fair amount of local pushback. So let's hope that they do a great job of outreach, because that appears to be a magical aspect. Because if you well, let's fly away from people. Whoa, there are no deliveries where there are no people, so you have to go where the people are. So
Mhm.
outreach becomes a hard requirement.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Let's go to this one. So, thermal drone saves 74-year-old woman in hours, redefining rescue in Michigan woods. So on April 6, 2025, a thermal imaging drone located a 74-year-old woman lost for 3 days in the frigid, rain-soaked woods of Mason County,
3
Michigan.
days.
I know, right? Cutting a potentially days-long search to just 5 hours. This life-saving mission showcases how drones are transforming search and rescue, offering hope to families and efficiency to first responders. Nancy Bloomquist, 74, from Norton Shores, vanished after her SUV caught fire on April 3rd, 2025, in Grant Township. Stranded without her phone, she sought shelter under a tree, enduring 27-degree Fahrenheit cold and brutal winds. Ouch. By Friday, she was too frozen to move, lying 150 yards from her vehicle in dense woods. Traditional ground searches faced steep odds, thick trees, and wet conditions slowed progress, and time was running out. The Mason County Sheriff's Office deployed a drone with a thermal camera. Chances are that was a DJI, which detects body heat against cooler surroundings. Despite spotty cell service, deputies used a Starlink antenna to maintain connectivity, enabling real-time drone operation. At 7:08 p.m. on April 6th, the drone spotted Bloomquist heat signature, guiding rescuers to her exact location. It's incredible that she survived the elements. Without the drone, the search could have stretched days, risking her life.
Don't understand how Starlink works in that scenario, but whatever.
I'm not sure either, but I don't know. Drones are slashing rescue times across Mason County. Cole noted a prior case where a drone located a 9-year-old boy in a river in 10 minutes, a task that once took hours. Before drones, that's an hours-long event, he said. The department's 5 drones, operated by 4 licensed pilots, cover missing persons, water rescues, and crash scenes, saving manpower and cost. Thermal cameras even penetrate thick canopies through wind, and heavy foliage can pose a challenge. As agencies nationwide adopt drones, the technology is becoming a must-have, with demand spiking for skilled pilots and thermal systems. So awesome. I mean, I love drones for good. It's always fantastic. So all right. I just wanted to bring this up. So this is our our
Our
lovely
favorite senator.
Senator Mike Lee. This is Senate Bill 1249, the Drone Integration and Zoning Act. We covered this last time, so I'm not going to kind of go over this again. But it's the same bill that's been brought up time and time again. I think this is probably its third or fourth introduction. So basically, this is wanting to provide a zone in the sky where you can't fly and pathways into that area. So essentially, it would declare anything. I'm not going to say anything, but a 200-foot zone of privacy, and all drones flying would have to live in the 200 to 400 zone. And then there would be essentially areas where you could launch, get up into the zone, and then maneuver through the zone. It's dumb. It's always been dumb. And
Hopefully,
so
its probability of passage is still in the low single digits.
1%. So prognosis, 1% chance of being enacted. This is from GovTrack. We utilize GovTrack here to kind of keep track of some of these bills. They've usually been fairly spot on with what's going on. So, and I know we mentioned this, mentioned GovTrack last time, so I just wanted to pop it up for informational purposes for you. But guys, if this gets out of committee or anything like that, like, we need to just roll with it. Like, so
Yeah, or if it goes into, I'm not even sure if Senator Lee is on the aviation subcommittee. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
Not sure how he's launched this. So
Wow.
we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep track of Senate 1249. But yeah, hopefully this stays around the hovering, if you'll forgive the pun, around 1%.
Yeah, so he's on the Energy and National Resources. He's the chair of that committee for the Judiciary, committee for the Budget, and committee for Foreign Relations. So
Yeah,
not really on
not
any
so much.
aviation
Not so much
committees,
with the aviation.
Yep.
So
So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. That's all I have for news today. Dave, what do you got for us?
Oh, just a thank you for the folks and the members. We continue to get a couple of free applications and processing those as quickly as we can. The FAA has, I think they've hit a steady state. They've not been terribly quick. They've not been terribly slow. When we first started this, it was months and months, and so most of my responses, I get a response maybe about in a month, and then it takes some, then it ticks over from submitted to under review, and then the review takes a couple weeks. And frequently there's some other question, so we iterate on a question another month. So it's still painful, but it's not awful. And thanks to the patience and the support of our members. In addition, I continue to get the odd question, usually a couple a week, and through our contact us, and we welcome those. And thanks for the members. And their questions they range all over the place, but they're usually about, can I fly? What does it take? And then we've also have some general drone questions and technology. We welcome those. We're in a state of flux with the likely banning of drones and drone equipment from China. So it's going to be a transition for us. So just a thanks, and that let you know that work is still going, in addition to responding to FCC and FAA requests for comments and things of that nature. And I've heard no hints about the Beyond Visual Line of Sight notice for public rulemaking. It was supposed to be December of 24, and then March of 25, and then with the kibosh on lots of new regulations, this one is still not out the door. We understand that it's complete. There are 6 other agencies that have to give the okay. We understand that's done, so there's waiting. And so we'll, as soon as we see it, we're ready to respond, and we'll publicize our response so we can encourage folks to respond to that.
Everybody working on that was probably either retired or fired. So
Yeah. It's very
entirely
possible. Very possible. Yeah, the FAA is plus with the FAA, if you're a Verizon employee or stockholder, you've got to be a little miffed. Verizon was removed as the internal networking capability and has been replaced with Starlink. And so I'm sure that's very frustrating to the Verizon Corporation.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then further on the Beyond Visual Line of Sight, why that's important, guys, is at least in the commercial drone world, without having that, it puts us severely behind the rest of the world in innovation and conducting business, utilizing drones in ways that would help our country. And without that, we're kind of stuck. And a lot of the commercial industry for things like drone delivery have to jump through a lot of hoops just to get moving, and it's just really holding things up. So that's really why it's important.
not to mention, we also hope that it sort of proves and paves the way for recreation to be able to do FPV flights beyond visual line of sight without a spotter and everything as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, all right, Dan, anything for us this evening, sir?
Nothing directly from me. I guess Blunty's not here, and he did share with us some scary drone regulations coming possibly to Florida that we'll try to keep an eye on. But I didn't read all the details of that.
Okay.
Yeah, the Senate Bill 1422 from Florida.
I think is that the one that Blunty shared just recently?
It's the Senate version of it, and then, but yeah, basically allowing certain persons to use what they say is reasonable force to prohibit a drone from conducting surveillance under certain circumstances, and they say up to 500 feet from a property.
Yeah. So not only does this fall or flout the federal preemption that the FAA has jurisdiction in the national airspace, but it also is really poorly written legislation in that there is no definition as to what reasonable use of force means. And if you take out your sidearm and start shooting at a drone in the sky because it's been passed in the Florida legislation, and you happen to be inside a city limit, you're probably going to get arrested. So for discharging a firearm inside a city limit. So just a dumb, and so if reasonable force did not mean a firearm, did it mean jamming? Well, that's illegal. Did it mean other kinetic means of a net?
A rock at it?
Yeah, a rock, a baseball. So the very poorly written piece of legislation, and we just disagree with the whole premise. This is not helpful to anyone.
Yep.
Yeah, and it talks about any
USC Section 32.
Any drone with a camera and the ability to record, and all kinds of things.
How can you tell if the drone has a camera? Half the time, people can't find the FPV camera on my racing drones.
Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to read this real quick. So a person, a state agency, or political subdivision may not use a drone equipped with an imaging device to record an image of a privately owned real property or of the owner, tenant, occupant, invitee, or licensee of such property with the intent to conduct surveillance on the individual or property captured in the image in violation of such person's reasonable expectation of privacy without his or her written consent. God, that's a really run-on
What
sentence.
The heck is real property, anyways?
It's real estate.
Imaginary property?
No, it's just a term they use in real estate. All right. So, for purposes of this section, a person is presumed to have a reasonable expectation of privacy on his or her privately owned real estate or real property if he or she is not observable by persons located at ground level in a place where they have a legal right to be, regardless of whether he or she is observable from the air with the use of a drone. A person who has a reasonable expectation of privacy on his or her property or privately owned real property may use a reasonable force to prohibit a drone from conducting surveillance in violation of this paragraph if such drone is operating under 500 feet over such property. So number one, can't fly over 400 feet. Number two, holy Jesus, like what is reasonable force? Like,
Reasonable
like,
force that can reach up to 500 feet.
Yeah, they didn't do
and
the. They didn't. Yeah, whoever wrote this did not do research, and as you just said, we cannot fly drones above 400 feet. So, were they just being
and
cute
then
or stupid?
how do you identify a
And
drone?
I think that's just kind of the point, is for it to be 500 feet, so that there is no way that you can fly over top of the property.
Yeah, but that's capricious, and that's a heck of a way to write legislation.
Yeah, it's dumb. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess my point here is let's take a like a scenario. You've got a police officer operating a drone on a search and rescue. It's over your property. You don't know who the drone's flying for. You're like, hey, I have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and I'm going to use reasonable force, aka my shotgun, to bring that drone down. Thus, like, and then the city tries to come after the person for that. Like that makes 0 sense. 100% 0 sense.
Yeah, one of the
Okay.
few cases that was prosecuted was a guy shot a sheriff's drone down, and they,
Mhm.
it wasn't a huge fine, but it was material, and so yeah,
Yeah. Dumb.
way to go, Florida.
Yeah, and it talks about
Mhm.
recording. Like, well, what if you're doing live FPV, but you're not recording it anywhere? It's just streamed to your eyeballs.
Right,
Like that's
right. And so to end on a high note, one of the one of the companies that's doing some very cool work is Sky Browse. So this company utilizes standard video shot by a drone and turns it into a 3D surface map or a 3D image, and it's accurate. And so they formed the company as a support to public safety. And so now they're linking with another company so they can stream, just as Dan was talking about it. And so on an active shooter situation or a situation that's hot and active, they can get a real-time three-dimensional image and get line of sight from where the perpetrators are. So all sorts of, or they're also doing it for auto accident reconstruction. It's real time. Fly a drone out there, take a quick video. It's immediately transformed in or crunched into a 3D surface map. Now you have an accurate three-dimensional representation of the entire scene. And I keep on saying surface because that's what it is. It's not a solid model. It just picks up the surface, which is plenty for what you need for this type of work. So really smart, young company, and pretty cool stuff. They do have if you want to play with it, they do have a limited free license. Their basic license goes for $60 a month. It's pretty cool. What it produces is very usable for a show and tell if you're looking to demonstrate a three-dimensional view of something. They also just released internal, so you can run around with your smartphone, take video, and then get a three-dimensional representation of an interior as well. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, cool technology, great company
I have to play with that.
in the U.S.
All right, Alex, anything to wrap us up this evening?
So they're from the U.S. National Drone Association. They are having a military drone competition that's also open to high school and collegiate students. So anyone who's in the military can compete, and so it's the top 10 from each branch of the military, and then top 10 high school and top 10 collegiate students from their qualifying. That just opened today and goes until May 3rd on Velocidrone. You can qualify to race in the final event at the AI Expo in Washington, D.C.
And what's the URL?
From June 2 to 4. And I'll see if it will let me paste it in the chat. It probably won't, because
Yeah, just if you could just repeat what the URL was, that will help
It's,
folks search on it.
usnda.org/compete.
Very cool.
And so it's at the race is going to be in-person race is going to be done with custom drones for the race, and you
Nice.
have to fly a spec drone on Velocidrone for the qualifying. So
Clever.
do you need the micro pack for Velocidrone? But I figured I'll throw in some times and see how I rank out, and because I'm right next to DC,
That's right.
at
There
least
you
during the
go.
time frame.
Excellent. And
See
we've
if I
got
can qualify.
two of us going to industry events. One is a CDA, Commercial Drone Association event that Alex is going to, and Rob is going to Expo, Drone Expo in Houston in May. So this is some of what we utilize the membership dues for. This is they're both driving, they're both local. As to minimize expense, but to get to these type of events, we're finding it's very useful for us as individuals, as well as for the organization to expand our reach and also understand what's going on.
All right. So just real quick. So open to all military service member, high school and college students. Start practicing on Velocidrone on the Velocidrone practice track. Register with your Velocidrone player tag using the form below to receive the link to receive a closed invitation to the USNDA Signal Group and a private link to compete for time on the Velocidrone USNDA leaderboard time trials track, open May 1st.
So what was that movie where the kid was playing a video game and he was recruited to fly or to help
Ender's Game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah,
I
one of
wonder,
the questions for students is, are you willing to talk to a recruiter?
why
Yeah,
not?
of course it is.
Why not? And we're supportive of military, we're supportive of public
Absolutely.
safety, we're supportive of industry. This is a great way to get a job if you want to fly.
Mhm.
So yes, you'd have to be in the military for this. Yes, that's a big commitment, but cool way to fly.
Absolutely. All right, guys, I think that'll round us out for the evening. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate the support. We continue to do cool things because of your support, and we continue to be able to go to industry events and push our ideas and opinions, and hopefully we can continue to make a difference in a lot of these regulations and whatnot that are coming down the pike. Again, guys, we appreciate you being here. Thank you, and we'll see you again in another couple of weeks. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.